Edgar Allan Poe, one of the most recognized writers of all time, mostly for his short horror stories and his original way to narrate. Apart from short horror fables, he wrote poems, science fiction, police reports, and criminal stories, which made him a really complete writer. Now we're gonna talk a little bit about his life. He was born in Boston, United States on January 19 on 1809. Poe's life was completely surrounded of sorrow. In 1811, at the age of 2, his family died, reason why he was adopted by John Allan and his wife. In 1820, they took him to the United Kingdom at the age of 11. In 1826, he joined the Virginia University, where he was expelled in the same year for alcohol and gambling addiction. In 1827, he joined the West Point Military Academy, but in 1831 he was expelled too for negligence. Around the time his stepfather passed away from tuberculosis. 1838 he got married with his 13-year-old cousin Virginia Clem. She died due to tuberculosis at the age of 26. Poe dies in October 7 in 1849 after a drinking bitch.
Now we're gonna talk about The Black Cat, one of the stories that he wrote. We're gonna start with the plot. The story starts with the principal character telling about how his life was, his young life, the things he used to do, and the most important thing, the love he used to have for animals. Then he got married. His wife loved animals, which was lucky for him. They had a love of animals, especially a black large cat. They called him Pluto. Pluto became his best friend for a long time. Pluto's owner starts drinking a lot, and when he gets drunk, he hits his wife. One night Pluto suffers his hunger, and he put a knife in his eye and took it out. He was still alive though. The unlucky Pluto had to suffer more anger towards the man, but this time he didn't make it. Pluto's end was so sad. He died hanging with a rope around his neck. One day he found another cat and he looked like Pluto, other than a mark he had on his body which was in the shape of a gallows. One day the guy almost fell on his face, and he got angry and he tried to hit the cat with an axe. His wife tried to stop him, but he put the axe through her neck instead. He ended up murdering his wife. After he buried his wife behind the wall, he had a happy life for a while, until one day the cops arrived home, asked some questions until they found his wife and cat behind the wall. He finally got caught. Now we're gonna talk about the characters. Pluto the cat, he was loyal to his owner until he got weird and came house drunk. The main character of the story, he had real issues with the alcohol. His wife, we don't know a lot of her, but she loved animals and tried to call sometimes his husband. The other character is the cat. He has a short time in the story, but he bothers the protagonist with his presence. That's why he tried to kill him. Now we're gonna talk about the main theme and the conflict. The main theme is how the people get in trouble and change of behavior while a person drinks or after drink. Some people can drink and have a nice time, but others just make bad decisions and they act in bad ways, hurting people. The conflict is the protagonist and his addiction to alcohol and the unhappy life he used to have.
One of his well-known stories is The Fall of the House of the Usher. Making a plot, the narrator is invited to the house of Usher. His friend Roderick Usher wrote him a letter explaining the rare illness that he and his sister suffered. This mental problem makes them feel every sense with more intensity. During his stay at the house, Madeline Usher, who's Roderick's sister, passed away, and they decide to put the body on a coffin somewhere under the house. One night, the main character is having trouble falling asleep, and Roderick comes inside the room to show him the storm happening outside the house. He decides to read for Roderick just to calm him down a little. While reading the story, he starts hearing some noises inside the house. At first, he's not sure about them, but as they grow more intensity, his fear grew too. Roderick confesses he has been hearing them for days and assures they come from Madeleine's coffin, which means they buried her alive. A few moments later, she appears on the door covered by wounds and blood, the same that killed her a few moments later. Roderick cannot stand it and dies with his sister in arms. The protagonist leaves the house completely terrified by the situation he just encountered. There's three characters in this story. The protagonist, who's a friend of Roderick and his family, Roderick Usher, the house owner, who comes from an Asian lineage and is one of the last ones alive. Unfortunately, suffers a strange illness that makes every sense feel intense. And Madeleine Usher, who's Roderick's sister, who also suffers the same illness. The central topic of this story is the real illness that affected Usher family and how Roderick and Madeleine both went crazy because of it, but mostly centered on Roderick's head. The main conflict is how this mental problem developed an intense fear of being left alone. Roderick and sister were the last Ushers alive, the same that guided unintentional Madeleine murder which killed him too, a dead man killed by his own terror.